Hello everyone and welcome back to this brand new video. Now for today we're going to be playing 4-color control, or if I want to be more exact, 4-color Super Friends. And what do I mean by Super Friends? Super Friends is a deck where you play a bunch of planeswalkers, and obviously we are doing that in this deck. We're playing 3 of Narset, 4 of Teferi, 2 of Kaya, 3 of other Teferi, because what's better than 4 Teferis, 7 Teferis, 2 of Narset, because again, what's better than just 3 Narsets, 5 Narset, 1 Ashiok, 3 Bolas, and of course the best planeswalker currently, or like one of the best planeswalkers currently, Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I am loving this card, and if you watched my Simic deck that I uploaded, you know how much this card saved us in that matchup, and I hope I get to showcase this card as much in this game. So besides that, what is the deck trying to do? It's a control deck, so meaning you could expect a bunch of board wipes, you could expect a bunch of removal, and a bunch of ways to disrupt your opponent, whether that's counter spells or hand disruption. Now in this deck I went with hand disruption, and one thing I wanted to mention is that I did not create this deck myself. I was inspired by Gabriel's Nassif list, but I changed some things in the main board, and that involved me changing the mana base a bit as well. I will include this list in the description down below, if you want to discuss any of the changes I made, do make sure to join our Discord server, and I would love to discuss with you anything. But I mainly changed things that I thought would be better for my climbing on the ladder, and yours as well, because I'm not seeing as many aggro decks as I would expect. So I'm not running too much removal on the 2-drop slot. I mean, worst case you can just pitch them with Teferi, but I'd rather run like some hand disruption like Thought Erasure. And I've been seeing a lot of Reclamation. That's why I decided to add one more copy of Narset. So these are some of the differences that I made, and of course that forced me to change my deck. Now let's go over our cards very quickly, and let's go over the planeswalkers as well. So Omen of the Sea is a very good card to blink with Yorion, and that's why it's in the deck. Eliminate and Heartless Act are very essential removal spells that you do need in this format. Elderspell is here because it can help us ulti any of our planeswalkers the same turn it enters, granted we have like for example 7 mana. Now how does that happen? The Elderspell says you can destroy any number of planeswalkers and then put 2 loyalty counters on a planeswalker you have for each planeswalker destroyed that way. Now usually people think that you would Elderspell your opponent's planeswalkers, and that is a play, but sometimes you would use Elderspell on your useless planeswalkers. What do I mean by useless planeswalkers? When Narset is at 1, she's never going to do anything. She's literally an enchantment that says opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. So for example, if I have a Bolas, I wouldn't mind Elderspelling an Narset and then any other planeswalker I have on the field, and then getting Bolas up to 8 counters, and then ulting the same turn and just winning the game. I mean, 7 mana, you win the game. You would play that in any deck, literally, especially if it's a deck where you get to play Teferi, and then you can ensure that this spell does not get countered. So I'm pretty sure that Elderspell is going to be relevant. I hope I get to showcase it in this video. Thought Erasure is a very good disruption spell. It can like slow down your opponent, and the Surveil Port is very good as well because you get to make sure that you draw what you want to draw. We are playing Super Friends, so might as well play Oath of Kayab, that way we gain some life in case we just hardcast it, or if our opponent needs to deal with our planeswalkers, he will also take damage and we will heal, and that's something we obviously want to do in a control deck. It's a control deck, so you're going to be running board wipes, so we're running 1 Shatter the Sky and 4 Extinction Event. Now Extinction Event is like a better in this case, in this meta, just because Uro is in the meta, and you'd rather exile Uro and obviously not Shatter the Sky, because you would draw them a card the first time you Shatter the Sky, and then when they re-escape Uro they drew a card, so you're literally down 2 cards and you did not do anything except for stall Uro for 1 turn. We're playing Elspeth Conquers Death because it's an excellent card, and I expect this card to be very good in the post meta. I just can't wait to see what you can do post rotation. Alright, so besides that, let's go over our planeswalkers quickly. Narset is good against Reclamation or any deck that's trying to draw cards because you really punish them. Like imagine this against Uro, for example. Uro just becomes 3 mana, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield and gain 3 life, which does nothing. Teferi is good against any deck that has instant speed interaction, and especially good against Wilderness Reclamation because it shuts down the complete deck. Kaya is good obviously against aggro decks, and especially, I mean not aggro, I mean against graveyard decks, and especially against Cat Oven because the -1 can just exile the Oven, and that deals with the whole strategy they have. They can't sacrifice anymore. Teferi Master of Time is a very cool planeswalker. It's good because it helps you pitch any useless spells you have. Like imagine I'm playing against a fellow control deck. My Extinction Event is not going to hit a bunch of things, so that's why I would, for example, draw and then discard it, and it's simply very cool to put off the -10 to take 2 extra turns, and you can do it. I've done it once while I was testing. Narset is simply an insane card, and she also pitches useless spells, but she pitches them in a different way where she can deal damage to creature or planeswalkers. That's her -2 ability. Ashiok is simply a very good 5-drop planeswalker. The creatures that you can create are good, especially it pairs very well with Extinction Event, because Extinction Event says exile the card. So you could exile anything that's like very scary, let's say Questing Beast, and then you could -7 Ashiok and then cast the Questing Beast and then attack with it. So that's why it was included in the deck in my opinion. Nicole Bolas is the reason we're going 4 colors besides Narset. Besides Narset I mean. And he is such a good planeswalker, and he's not that hard to splash for if your deck is mostly black based, and that literally is what our deck is, mostly black based. And I'll go over the lands pretty quickly. And Ugin is a colorless planeswalker, and he's an amazing one, so you're obviously gonna run him in a Super Friends deck. Bolt each turn, -X, board wipe, what more do you want? Now, Ugin is a bit weird in this deck because you can't minus freely because most of your things are permanents. And he says exile each permanent. I mean, that does count yours, so you need to be worried about Ugin when you minus, because you don't want to hit, for example, your Bolas or your Ashiok. We never thought that Bolas and Ugin would be in the same deck because, like, you know, they're enemies, but I mean, whatever. They were brothers at some stage, so let's just imagine that they were brothers at that stage and not enemies. For our lands, we're running a lot of black sources because obviously the deck is black based mostly. Triome is a very good way for us to splash, and that's the main reason we can safely go 4 colors. Interplanetary Beacon is also a very good card because we're running mostly planeswalkers. The life gain is very relevant against aggro, and the mana fixing is super good. Fabled Passage is also one of our ways to fix our mana. Besides that, we're not running a bunch of tap plans. We're playing Temple of the Sea, Temple of Silence, 2 of Temple of Enlightenment because you want your blue sources early, and we're running the usual shock lands, 3 of Watergrave, 4 of Goddess Shrine, 4 of Hallowed Fountain. Now we're running 1 mountain just so we can search it with Fabled Passage, 3 of Swamp, 2 of Island, 2 of Castle Vantress, which is such a good card, and of course 2 planes so you can search everything with Fabled Passage. Besides that, let's go into our sideboard, and my sideboard is a bit different than Nassif as well. So I'm not running, I think he was running 3 Cry of the Carnarium, I'm only running 2. And I'm running 2 Thought Distortion, 2 Ashiok Dream Render, 1 other Elderspell. I think Nassif also had 1 of Ugin in the main board and 1 in the sideboard. I decided to go with 2 in the main board because I'm not running against aggro as much, so I can safely keep an 8 mana play in my deck. Another Elderspell, 3 of Mystical Dispute because, you know, the format is disgusting. It's all growth spires, so you need a way to stop that. And of course Aether Gust because the other part of the meta is also green, and you kind of need to put a stop to that as well. Now that's gonna be pretty much it for the deck tech, but before we get into our games, I would like to please ask you to subscribe because it helps the channel a lot. If you want to help the channel further than that, you can check out the Patreon link in my description down below. And with that, let's get into our games. Going into our first game of 4 color control. This doesn't look like the best hand, but I mean, we could scry on turn 1 and then we have Teferi to bounce anything. We're missing 1 color. But I think we should be fine. I'm very tempted to keep. But do we keep this kind of hand? I guess we should mull, and this is where I probably get punished and do not draw lands anymore. Alright, this is a much better hand, obviously, and I think we can safely bottom this island. And life is good. Alright, life is very good. I think I'm going to lead off with Temple of Silence, so he thinks I'm Yorion Rats because I do have a Yorion. And then that way I can kind of surprise him with like a blue spell the turn after. So we're gonna obviously keep Narset because now we have a Planeswalker curve and we have the lands needed to curve out. So we have Narset, we have the Narset, and then we have Ashiok, which is a very good curve in my opinion. Now the only scary thing would be Anissa, but I don't think he has Anissa. We're gonna continue with this theme and not give him any ideas. So we're just gonna play Fabled Passage and pass. I want him to think as much as possible that we're Yorion Rats because he would change his playstyle based on that, and then we can punish him hugely with a Narset. I'm obviously gonna search for a blue source with the Fabled Passage so I can slam Narset next turn. So let's go get our blue source. Blue source, where are you? Alright, so the reason I can safely search for an island is because we have triple black. We have Watergrave, Temple of Silence, and Interplanetary Beacon. Now we have another black source in case we ever need that. Let's just play our Interplanetary Beacon and let's just slam in our Narset in case he has Dispute. I mean, I opened up the way for a Narset next turn. I mean, it's fine. Kind of our hand forces us currently to jam in and wish that something sticks because we don't have a lot of options now, do we? We don't have like Thought Erasure. I can wait for a turn. We are forced to try to apply pressure to this deck, especially if he's a ramp deck. I don't think we can just sit down and not do anything. So let's slam in our other Narset. Opponent does our other Narset resolve. she's gonna get negated. Alright, so opponent does not want any of us to have fun. So let's just see if our Ashiok next turn resolves. If not, we're very sad, to say the least. So what happens, opponent? You just slam Anissa now? Is that how the game goes? I don't think there's slamming Anissa involved. Alright, Uro is okay because at least he taps out, unless he draws a land and then he has a negate in hand. Alright, so Castle Vantress means that Dispute is actually an option, and that's an option that I would be very mad about. So Ashiok, do you resolve? Ashiok finally resolves, we resolve a threat, and let's just play Ashiok. One cool thing about Ashiok, by the way, as well, is that anything that's escaped by Uro can be cast with Ashiok, because it says you may cast up to 3 spells from among face-up cards from exile. So like Uro, when he exiles things, you actually get cast them with Ashiok. Is he playing Reclamation? I mean, I thought for most of the game that he was playing, he was literally playing, what was the deck? Semi-Cramp. Alright, so let's just -3 bounce this. And then whatever he pitches, I just thought Erasure, the thing he doesn't pitch. I mean, if he keeps this in hand, I would probably thought Erasure that, but it highly depends on what he has in hand as well. So like, that does change my choices. Alright, so I just thought Erasure. He has double Strike Typhoon, so like, my pitching did not change anything. We could just -3 this again and then deal with that way, but I mean, do I really want to do that? We obviously want to keep Ugin on top, don't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're not that far away from casting this Ugin. So I think we should keep it. I think I'm going to keep Ugin. Ugin is just simply that good. We're going to put our companion into our hand. We're going to play our temple, obviously Skytop again. And let's just attack and then make him exile too. Alright, so we took a Wilderness and a Shark Typhoon. That feels good, because now we can, at any stage, if we do end up minusing this Ashiok, we get to take a Shark Typhoon and a Wilderness Reclamation. I mean, Wilderness doesn't do that much in this deck, but it's still a good card, so might as well. Alright, he does not want to, he's probably gonna now cycle Shark Typhoon, that I'm assuming. So let's just, let's just scry, and I think we keep this Triumph because that means that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lands in the future, so we get for sure play our Ugin the turn, not the next turn, the one after, so that's good. Let's get an expansion explosion. Alright, so I'm taking one of his crucial I'm taking his crucial pieces, which are Reclamation and Expansion Explosion. Do we play Yorion for no value just to have a bigger threat? I guess we do, because now he's kind of forced to do something about all of what we're doing. For sure he draws a counter spell when I needed to resolve something, for sure. I mean, it's the usual. He cycles Shark Typhoon. He probably wants to play his Uro, but I mean, I'm simply gonna deal with Uro by just casting Extinction Event, and it's gonna be fun to play. So what do you do, opponent? He just plays his Uro. We're just gonna Extinction Event Odd, deal with Uro, and then that's cute because we don't have to worry about him anymore. And potentially, if we just want a -7, draw 1 card, play a land, gain some life, you could just cast Uro with Ashiok. Alright, so Ashiok takes 1, sadly. Can she please take 1, opponent, or do you like want us to wait that much? If he has Scorching Dragonfire, or if he top decks Scorching Dragonfire, I'm gonna be very, very mad, to say the least. Alright, he does not. Let's just play our thing, and then there's just plus. And then Extinction Event for Odd to get rid of this Uro, and then attack for 4. Extinction Event for Odd. Goodbye, Uro. I mean, I like you when I play you in a deck, but I don't like when I see you on the other side. I mean, that's very fair, honestly. And now, does he have the Scorching Dragonfire? I don't think he has it, because he would have used it on Ashiok. I don't think he would have kept it for these. Let's see what we get this time. We get lands, and then we get Reclamation Uro. Did I see this correctly? We did. Alright, so Ashiok is running away with the game. I'm glad we got the Resolver. And then next turn we have Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I'm so excited to play Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I'm just gonna bait him by attacking. Alright, Borrower is completely fine. He bounced he bounced a token, and then he did not bounce Ugin, so that makes me feel good. Alright, so it's completely fine. He probably thinks he's gonna kill Ashiok by just playing Borrower and Step, and that's very funny, opponent. I mean, it's funny you think you can deal with my Ashiok. That's a very funny joke, opponent. So Teferi Master of Time is also a good card, because we can play it and make it impossible for him to kill our Ashiok, which is cool. Let's just attack again. He's running very low on cards, like, really, like, he's down now to 28, I guess. What do we take? Can we take the Expansion Explosion? Alright, no expansion explosion. How many reclamations does he still have? We took 2, meaning he still has 2 in the deck. Alright, let's just play our Teferi Master of Time. Now that way, in case he wants to play Borrower, he kind of cannot kill our Ashiok anymore, which is cute. Obviously we don't want another land, and opponent is at a very low life total, meaning that Ugin can at any stage kill him, which is also funny. Let's see what he attacks. If he attacks this way, we're just gonna phase out the Borrower and then just kill, save Ashiok that way. So let's just phase this out, and when our opponent lets me at least. Alright, so opponent, can I please phase things out? Alright, so phase out this Brazen Borrower. Sorry opponent, but I kind of need you not kill my Ashiok because she's my only threat currently. So opponent is thinking very hard. What could you do? Is he playing Heroic Intervention main board? That would be very funny. Actually not very funny for me, but very funny for him. Because if he has Heroic Intervention and he also has Bone Crusher Giant, he literally board wiped. He removed all of my planeswalkers technically in one turn. Let's just see what he has. We took an expansion, we took a dispute. Alright, so opponent is thinking very well about this play for some reason. Like, what could you respond to Teferi Master of Time? Does he have Sublime Epiphany? Wait, does he have the mana for Sublime Epiphany? Yeah, he definitely has the mana for Sublime Epiphany, so that could be a thing. He does not have Sublime Epiphany. Alright, makes me feel better about myself. So opponent is attacking us for 1. One thing I wanted to mention is that I started watching Steins Gate yesterday, and trust me, this anime is super good. So if you're a fan of anime, I highly recommend this series. Alright, so opponent does not want to see this Ashiok anymore, so he just kills it. So what I was saying, I highly recommend you watch Steins Gate. It's such a good anime that I really think that it should be watched at least by every single person. Alright, so let's just draw a card, discard a card. Elspeth Conquers Death is a very cool card. Now let's just attack him for 6, which is half of his life total, funny enough. So let's see what we exile. An opponent does not want to do this anymore. Funny enough, we could have played Ugin, then attack his face, and then the turn after do the same thing. I guess I want to bring in the Disputes, I want to bring in the Gust, and Ashiok, as well as Thought Distortion. Besides that, I think Extinction Event is simply weak when I want to bring in the Ashiok, whereas Ashiok here. And I think Shatter the Sky is also just as weak. Eliminate, Heartless Act are not doing much in this matchup, so I think that's the sideboard. Is there anything else to do? I guess not, so we could safely go with that. And with that, let's go into our second game. So what I was saying about Steins Gate, it's one of these animes that really gets you thinking, and you might think that the first couple of episodes are a bit boring, and they kind of were, but beyond that, the anime is simply insane, so I highly recommend it. I'm currently in episode 13 out of 24, and I cannot get enough of it. Alright, so waiting for my opponent. Obviously opponent wants me to go first because he just respects me that much. Omnath commands that much respect. Or like technically Chromium, but my name is Omnath. Alright, so I don't think this is a good hand. Do you think it is a good hand? You probably don't. I think this is a way better hand, and I think we can bottom Ugin because we're very far off from casting him. We could also bottom Bolas, but Bolas is 5 mana, so we can fix it, but this is 8. Like, that's impossible currently to cast with our hand. Alright, so just when I say that Bolas is impossible to cast with our hand, we simply just draw another one because, life is funny that way. Don't want to cast Vantress. I'm trying kind of to fix colors for Bolas, so that's why I did not pick up the Vantress. Spectre Sailor is not something that I expected, to say the least, because it's not a very common sideboard card. So maybe I should keep an Eliminates or Heartless Act for next game. I think we can Thought Erasure quite safely. So let's just see. I guess we take the Wilderness Reclamation. And we keep the Narset because it's something we can actually cast on curve. And then we can kill the Spectre Sailor with it. I don't mind pitching one of the Nicol Bolas because I don't want to, and we're not close to casting them, but anyways. So let's see what we got. I don't think I want Thought Erasure. Bye Thought Erasure. It's not a bad spell, but now he has Expansion Explosion to copy it, and you obviously don't want to get Expansion Explosion. Alright, so he's cycling for something. Maybe he wants to hit his lands, maybe he's digging for his Reclamation. The options are there. Alright. So let's just hope that our Narset resolves, because we really need her to resolve. Please, Narset, resolve. Maybe I should have baited with Teferi, but I don't want to keep on baiting. Sadly, he draws his negate. Alright. I mean, it's not fine, but we could survive. We could survive this. Untap Reclamation would be quite annoying, but now Spectre Sailor simply draws him a card every turn, which is not something that I want. It's obviously not something that you want, and of course he gets the Reclamation, of course. Alright, so I think we're behind enough just because of Reclamation Sailor that now he can just every turn draw an extra card. I think we just concede in that stage. I mean, I could have just played it out, but I really don't think I can come back from this. So, seeing how he brought in his Spectre Sailor, I guess we can keep in 2 eliminates. And what would I bring out? That's the question. I think Oath of Kaya is just not good in this matchup, so we can just bring that out. And what else? I think we can incite in 1 more Heartless Act, and that's it. So let's see what happens this game. Spectre Sailor really surprised me. Because not a lot of Reclamation decks are playing it. Alright, so let's just play first. This hand is decent enough to keep. It doesn't do much on turn 2, but I mean, sticking Ashiok would be good against this deck, especially if it stops their Uro plans, and it can kind of... I mean, this card alone means 20 cards from their deck, which is a very huge number for a Reclamation deck because they dig through most of their deck very quickly. Alright, so opponent, when you give us the chance to play our lands, I would feel like really appreciate it. Thank you. He's not gonna let us do that. That's what it seems, at least. Alright, so opponent, what's the plan? Am I disconnected? Opponent's timer is running out, so I'm not disconnected. Let's just see what happens. Finally, we get to play this game. And I want a Watery Grave. That way we have triple black for Bola, so I guess we do keep it. And then now we can bait with Ashiok and then bait with Elspeth Conquers Death, so we're kind of sure that our Bolas can stick. This might be a weak start because we don't have a Dispute, we don't have an Aether Gust. But I mean, what can we do? We're not gonna mull just to hit a Dispute and an 80 card deck and then just never hit it and then lose. So might as well just not do that. We're gonna play our Watery Grave just in case we top deck a Narset. I would want to have double blue. I mean, I could play Interplanar Beacon and ensure that we have double blue, but I like this line as well. And opponent now is really considering what land to play. This is obviously signaling Growth Spiral. I think we bait with Ashiok and then we hit Teferi next turn. That could be a very good way to fool him into doing things that he shouldn't do. So let's see what he does. He Growth Spirals, meaning that he probably does not care about Ashiok, but he will come to regret this decision, trust me. If he has turn 4 Reclamation, I'm gonna be very sad. Alright. So that's 1 less Dispute I need to play around, and then 3 lands is not the worst thing against a deck that's very land hungry. Especially if he wanted to hit a land. Alright, he hits a land anyways. He cannot search because I have an Ashiok. Nice. A lot of people forget that Ashiok has a passive that says, you cannot search your deck. Oops, yeah indeed, oops, opponent. Oh, if he has a Borrower in hand, this is gonna be very embarrassing for him. Alright, so he spirals. Hopefully he doesn't have a Dispute. I mean, we have a Dispute now, so our Teferi is sure to stick. Let's just mill him. Maybe we get some information. We do not. Alright, so I'm gonna play in the Swamp and then Teferi and then keep Dispute up. Alright, opponent, moment of truth, he does not have a Dispute. Alright. I mean, I feel very good about the sequence of turns, especially that now the turn after this one we're gonna get to play Bolas, because I might just simply play Yorion, because that is a decent option. Alright, so Aether Gust is a good pickup as well, so let's just... I think I keep up Dispute Gust, which is the best thing in my opinion. Let's just hit this opponent, make him mill some more. Opponent, I told you you're gonna regret this Ashiok, you did not believe me. You did not believe me, and look where it got you. We're just gonna plus our Teferi. I'm not even afraid of the shark thing because Teferi doesn't die. Maybe Ashiok dies, but that's fine because we get to save our Teferi. And I think we're gonna save Dispute Gust, or do we just save Gust? I guess we just save Gust and we put Yorion into our hand, kind of threaten Yorion in the next couple of turns. So is this a shark opponent? Alright, so definitely, they always have it. They always play around the shark because they always have it. Oof, a card that he's gonna attack Ashiok this time. I was like, please search before you attack Ashiok, please. But he did not, and thankfully for him, it pays off. So let's see, if he plays Reclamation, I'm just gonna gust it, and then he can't do anything because I have an active Teferi on the field. Thank you, Teferi. What is he considering? What can you do for 5 mana? I don't think he brought in Nissa, did he? He doesn't apparently have Nissa. What could be annoying would be another shark. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You could play another shark and then kill off the Teferi, which is why I guess we minus the Teferi, bounce, and then we play Yorion to protect this Teferi, because like Teferi is your best card against Reclamation. Sincerely, it stops all of the strategy. So you really want to protect him, and obviously I don't want to tap out from blue, so if I have the chance I won't. Alright, so we cannot tap out of blue, so we guess we're not. Yorion, welcome to the field. And we could reset our Teferi, yeah, it has 4 loyalty, so I think it's a smart idea to reset him. Because now, even if he deals with this Yorion and he has a shark, the shark still does not kill Teferi, so welcome to the party, Yorion. Your interaction is very well needed. Sure, he gets to maybe play Dispute and play, Spiral, do some things. But I mean, are we really worried about that? We're obviously not worried about that. His Reclamation won't do anything on his turn. And that maybe tells me that he does not have... Blast Zone is very annoying to say the least, but I mean, that might maybe tell me that he does not have the Shark Typhoon. Does he just put a counter on Blast Zone? I mean, if he has Reclamation and he has a Blast Zone, that next couple of draws are going to be very annoying. Alright, so we get back on Teferi. That's cute. So he bounces our thing. Do we dispute just to tap him out? I guess we do. I'm going to dispute just to tap him out in case he has the Reclamation, because we can't deal with the Reclamation otherwise. So opponent, do you pay 3? That's the question everyone likes to ask. Do you pay 3 for dispute? Because like my logic is we make him tap out and then we can resolve the Bolas and then kind of save ourselves. Sure, Bolas can just simply kill off the Nightback Ambusher, but it's better than him having an active Ambusher and me having a dead Teferi. Alright, so Teferi is sadly dead, and I'm gonna assume that he does not have a Mystical Dispute. I'm gonna actually assume he has a Mystical Dispute, and then I'm gonna slam Elspeth Conquers Death and not anything else. I wish we just drew an untapped land so we can keep up Aether Gust, but I mean, things are not looking that bad. Things are not looking that bad. Please Nomad Nurse Reclamation. Please. Obviously they always have it. They literally always have it. I mean, good for us. We have an an Elspeth Conquers Death and an Aether Gust in case he doesn't Reclamation this turn. The Reclamation is the turn after. So let's see. So he untaps his lands. It seems like we're gonna get hit with an Expansion Explosion, isn't it? Alright, so how much can he expansion for? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna get Expansion Explosion for 5, which is not the worst thing, I guess. Yeah, opponent does not know about QQ. So one thing that you should note is that if you press QQ, the arena system will automatically float all of your mana, unless he doesn't really want to. He's playing around Dispute. It's very good for me that he's playing around Dispute because we don't have it, but I mean, I'd love to see him play around it. Okay, opponent, what's the plan? Now the good thing about this is that he can't dispute my Elspeth Conquers Death anymore, because Elspeth Conquers Death says that his non-creature spells are going to cost 2 more to cast, meaning that dispute now is not an option on my turn anymore. So let's just play this Temple and then Scry. We Scry a Dispute on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess our plan is to play Yorion, flicker this, or I think I'd rather get back to Teferi. I think we played a different Elspeth Conquers Death. Yeah, I'd much rather get back to Teferi, to be very honest with all of you. Because like Teferi shuts down a bunch of things that they try to do. Alright, so opponent, what is the plan? What is the plan indeed? He has 23 cards left in his library. I might just get back Ashio the turn after Teferi and then just mill him that way. Options are there. Options are definitely there. So opponent, what is the plan? The plan is to shock, and then the plan is to Expansion Explosion for lethal. I mean, Expansion Explosion now costs 2 mana extra, and then his Wilderness also costs 2 mana extra, meaning that it costs him 6. He can float then 2 mana and then get 10 mana, and then expansion. He can expansion for 4, which would leave him at... Alright, so he just hard casts Shark Typhoon, which is a very, very bad play in my opinion. Alright, let's just get back to Teferi. Why is it a bad play in my opinion? Because I can simply just do this. Should probably minus Teferi, but I'm gonna plus him. And now we get to do this. And now we can simply just do we minus Teferi? No, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna just Elspeth conquers that. Now, one thing I should have done, which would be auto tap my own, not use auto tap, but tap my own mana, because we could have kept Gust and Dispute up if we tapped this, but no, I don't. Like the game does not want me to hold as much interaction as possible, because obviously, the game hates me to say the least. Opponent has 22 cards left with their library. He's cried top, which makes me feel good because I have a Gust and a Dispute up. Alright, so Bolas next turn is gonna cost us. Alright, so he doesn't play anything, so I'm pretty sure he has a Shark token in his hand, so we're not gonna do anything. He has 19 cards exiled, so Kaya won't take a bunch of turns to kill him. So let's just tap manually so we get to do as much as possible. So black, and then blue, and I guess make. Actually, wait, I think it tapped my. Alright, so I guess that's enough if you tap this other thing. Wait, so he made. Let's undo. I guess we just make black and red here. Alright, so we just can cast our Bolas. Bolas, welcome to the party. Alright, so Bolas does come to the party. And we're just going to draw a card and then have our opponent exile something from his hand. Or from the field. Oh, I think now I forgot that the Blast Zone is on the field. He probably did not play anything, so he can Blast Zone our own Teferi, but good for us is that we can just get it back with Elspeth Conquers Death next turn. What did he exile from his hand? Did he exile the Borrower? I'm gonna assume he exiled the Borrower because I didn't see. We're not gonna attack with a Yorion just in case he has a Shark Typhoon token that I cannot deal with. He could also Blast Zone for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then kill off the Elspeth Conquers Death and the Bolas. Does he have the mana? He actually did that, I guess. He has now 4 counters on it, and then maybe he plays Reclamation. If he plays Reclamation, he gets punished quite a bit, just because. Alright, so now we can Gust it. And now because we Gusted it, he cannot, again, Blast Zone, put a counter, then untap, do the thing that he had in mind. Which makes me feel very good, honestly, because now we prevented him from doing what he does. And then if he puts it on top, we just get back our Ashiok, and then we mill it. Alright, so opponent doesn't see the line. We can literally just bounce our when we have draw step thought erasure, so we don't even have to minus Ashiok, but I'm probably going to. So I think we're just going to minus our Ashiok, target him, and now he does not have a lot of cards left in his library, and we have draw step thought erasure, so I'm definitely gonna put the stop here. What do I mean by draw step thought erasure? Because Teferi lets me play things at instant speed, because I will plus him now. After he draws his card, I get priority, and because I have priority, I can Thought Erasure and then take a card from his hand. I'm gonna do something very controversial, but because he only has 18 cards left in his library, Bolas and Ashiok kind of take a toll quickly on his library and can get rid of the library very quick. So we're gonna make him mill 4 with our Bolas, because as many resources as we take, the better. And we're gonna play our Kaya just to set up a clock quite quickly, because Kaya is a 2-turn clock deck now, because he has 32 cards exiled from his deck. So we're just going to plus, we're going to exile, submit 0, and that's simply enough for our opponent who does not want to see more of this 4-color control deck. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing, because it helps the channel a lot. And before I sign off, I would like to thank my patrons, because they are the ones that are making my content possible. And a special shout out to I am Mark Mac, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.